we are going to start with the unit number 5, that is transaction and concurrency control. Again, see the unit number 5. Here we need to refer 2 units from the book. That is unit number 14, transaction, and unit number 15, concurrency control. So unit number 14 and 15 from the Korth and Sudarshan book, you need to refer here for this unit number 5, transaction and concurrency control. So some part from the transaction and some part from the concurrency control we are going to cover in this entire unit. So first we are going to start with the transaction. That is, I told that this is unit number 14 from the book, and that's why I have given here 14. To understand you to which unit you need to refer, or the chapter you need to refer from the book. So in the transaction, what we are going to cover, in transaction we are going to cover the concept of transaction, what is actual mean by transaction and its properties. Then state diagram of transaction, that is transaction state. Then what is mean by serial execution and concurrent execution. What is serializability. Transaction definition in SQL and testing for serializability. So these some points we are going to cover in the transaction. And after completion of the transaction, we will move towards the concurrency control, which includes some protocols of concurrency control. So now first we start with the transaction is nothing but transfer of money means what happens? From suppose I want to transfer from account A to account B. So that is transfer of money from account A to account B. So what it include? It includes first we need to retrieve the information from, or sorry, first to withdraw the amount from account A, then minimize the account from the account A, then transfer it to account B, means add that amount into the account B. So all these instructions or all these steps we need to do. First retrieve it from the, withdraw it from the account A, minus that amount from the account A, then add this amount, whatever withdrawal, it is credited to account B. So all these steps we need to do, and all these steps together we can say it is a transaction. We can say it is a transaction. So simple definition of a transaction is a unit of program execution that access and possibly updates various data items. Not only access, according to it, update the data item. Means it retrieve the amount from account A, then minus the whatever the amount we want to transfer, means it perform the updates with the value in the account A. And then that value we add into the account B, means credit into the account, means we also need to update the account B. So program, or it is a unit of program, small step of instructions, unit of program execution that access and possibly updates various data items. So you can write down this definition in your notebook, that we call as a transaction. And now see, we write a transaction. So in that way, when we write a transaction, that example already you are told, transaction to transfer $50 from account A to account B. So when we write such a kind of simple transaction, what property it should be possessed? Okay, what property it should be possessed? That properties are very important. So every transaction must possess these properties. So what we call these properties? We call these properties as acid properties. What we call it as a acid properties. ACID. What we call it as a acid properties. So what is A, what is C, what is I, and what is D? So we are going to see it one by one. First we see the definition of these acid properties. Then with the example we will see in detail what is meant by this acid properties. Suppose we consider this transaction. So before start with the properties, the transaction, how it is written in the database. Okay, how it is written in the database. So here we are going to use the simple read and write operation. Simple read and write operation, not remaining. So read means it read the value from account A. Then A is equal to A, $50 we transfer from account A. So need to minimize that amount from account A. Then write the value in account. A means update. Write means update the value in account A. Then read from account B. B add 50, then write the value of account, means update it. Now consider if initially in account A there are 1000 rupees. Initially we consider in account A there are 1000 rupees and in account B there are 2000 rupees. We consider there are 2000 rupees. So how this transaction execute? Initially it read the value of A. What is A? A is equal to 1000. Okay. Next, what is given here? A is equal to A minus 50. So what happens here? A becomes 950. So that value is written here. So here A is equal to 950. 950. Now it reads the value of B. What is the value of B at this stage? It is 2000. It reads the value of B, add into the 50 and write it the value of B. So now B is 2050. Now here see, while we start the transaction, what is the value of A plus B? A plus B. See, it is important. It's very simple but important. Initially, when we start the transaction, the value of A plus B is 3000. And after the end of the transaction, what is the value of A plus B? It is 950 plus 2050, which is equal to 3000. So, means it execute correctly. Is it clear to everyone what is that simple transaction? Yes or no? Is it clear? So the same example we are going to see again and again during these two units, transaction and concurrency. And also in recovery algorithms, we are going to see the same example. Everyone clear with this simple example of transaction, how actually the transaction work? Okay. Now see, when we see or when we study the concept of transaction, there are two main issues deal with it. It is possible the failure of transaction and how to recover from it. We are going to see it in the next or the last unit, unit number 6, and concurrent execution of multiple transactions. That we are going to study in this unit number 5, the second part of unit number 5. Now, as I have told that every transaction possesses 4 properties. Every transaction must possess these 4 properties, not any one of these. All the 4 properties must be possessed by the transaction. Then only we say it is a good. Perform all operation or not at all. That is atomicity. So see, either all operations of the transaction are properly reflected in the database or not none all. So it's a correct, transaction should occur completely or not at all. Sakshi says the correct definition. So either all operations of the transaction are properly reflected in the database or none, not at all. So the second one is the consistency. What is consistency? When a transaction is completed, the database must be in a consistent state. If any of the transaction parts violates an integrity constraint, the entire transaction is aborted. If any of the transaction part violates an integrity constraint, the entire transaction is aborted. Means what? See here, in the previous example, what is the addition of A plus B before the execution? 3000. And after the transaction completed successfully, what are the addition of A plus B? 3000. Means in that case we can say data consistency is there. Prior to the transaction, whatever the state, it remains consistent after the execution of the transaction. Now the next one, isolation. So most of the database, I told that concurrent execution is allowed. So why concurrent execution is there and all these things we are going to study again. So most of the database system allow the concurrent execution of the transaction. Now what is meant by isolation? Isolation means that, see, these definitions somewhat difficult given in the book. Isolation means that the data item used during the execution of a transaction. See, the data item that is used during the execution of a transaction cannot be used by a second transaction until the first one is completed. Means what? In other words, if a transaction T1 is being executed and using a data item X, the data item cannot be accessed by any other transaction. Means in this previous example, if this we consider a transaction T1, we call it as a transaction T1. And here we are using A, updating the value of A, updating the value of B. So at that same time, another transaction T2 cannot use A and B. Cannot use A and B. So that property we call isolation. Again, we are going to see it with example. So only remember that if a transaction T1 is using a data item T1X, that data item updating a data item X, then that cannot be accessed by any other transaction T2 to Tn until T1 ends. And the last one is the D. Anyone guess what is D? Durability. Correct. So the last one is durability. So after a transaction completes successfully, the changes it made to the database persist even if there are system failure. After a transaction completes successfully, the changes it made to the database persist even if there is system failure. Means in the previous example, after the execution of the transaction, the value of A is 950 and the value of B is 2050. So these values remains as it is database even if a system failure happens. So that we call it as a durability. Now see these atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability with example we are going to see. Now we move towards this in detail. So the same transaction we are going to see here, that is transfer of account A, $50 from account A to account B. Now see the atomicity, this part see at the time of first lecture, or the first unit we have seen this example, same example, but again we are going to see it. Now see, suppose this transaction is executed or start its execution. As I told that initially suppose there is a $1,000 in account A and $2,000 in account B. $1,000 in account A and $2,000 in account B. So in that case, initially it read the value of A. So initially A is equal to 1,000. Then A is equal to A minus 50. Write the value of A is equal to 950. Now see, after the write operation, if a failure occurs, after this write operation, if a failure occurs, then what happens? If a failure occurs after write A and before the write B, then what are the values of A and B at the end? Anyone? Have you understood my question? Suppose we start the execution of the transaction and after these 3 instructions are executed or after 4th or 5th instruction, if a failure occurs, means the failure occurs after write A and before write B, correct? Then in that case, the value of A is 950 and the value of B is 2000 as it is. 2000 as it is. Why? Because here the transaction fails. And that's why A is only updated, write operation is performed, but B is not updated. And that's why in that case, B is equal to 2,950. So it results in data inconsistency. And that's why it is necessary that the transaction should execute on its whole, entire or not at all. What are the changes made by the transaction? all should be updated in the database which is stored on the disk. Durability. So once the user has been notified that the transaction has completed successfully, means A is equal to 950 and B is equal to 2050, that value, once these are stored on the disk, where the database is actually stored, then even if a failure occurs, that value remains as it is. So that we call it as a durability. Simple definition. Now the next one, consistency. Already I have told related to the consistency. Whatever the value of the transaction or state of the transaction before the execution must be same or consistent after the end of the transaction. Whatever the updates made by the transaction should be consistent, means before execution if value is 1000, 2000, then before execution A plus B is equal to 3000. And after the execution of the transaction, A becomes 950, B becomes 2050. So A plus B is equal to 3000. A is plus B is equal to 3000, means the data should be consistent. Whatever the state prior to the execution of the transaction and after the execution of the transaction must be same. Okay, everyone clear? That is consistency, and the last remaining is the isolation. So isolation is one of the important property when we consider the concurrency, or when we consider that the transactions are executed concurrently, more than one transaction execute at a time. So in that case, isolation is very important. What it means that when one transaction is updating a data item, the another transaction cannot access that data item. Otherwise, it results in data inconsistency. So that is known as isolation. So always remember, this is one of the property which is very important in the case of concurrency control. So example we have seen in the last lecture. Suppose there are two transactions, T1 which transfer $50 from account A to account B, and another transaction T2 which read the value of A and B and print A plus B. Now see, suppose in this case T1 start its transaction, read the value of A. Initially we consider it is 1 minute. I forgot to make it. So if in this case, if transaction we consider that initially the A has value 1000, we consider that initially A has value 1000 and B has value 2000. So in that case, when we start the transaction T1, it reads the value of A, that is 1000, and then make it minus 50, so it becomes 950. After that, if concurrently transaction T2 execute, which read the value of A. Now right operation of A is completed here, so it reads the value of A, that is 950, and read the value of B, which is original value 2000. So when it prints the value of A plus B, it prints 2950. Why it happens? Because the transactions are executed concurrently, but here the transaction T1 is updating the data item A, and at the same time transaction T2 read that value, and that's why the transaction T2 read incorrect value of A, which is result in data inconsistency. So isolation property is important in the case of concurrency. While one transaction updating a data item, another transaction not allowed to use that data item, read or update that data item. One minute. Okay, now we move towards the next part, state diagram of the transaction we are going to study. So in the state diagram of transaction, there are actual 5 stages of the transaction. So first we are going to see the definition of these 5 stages, and then we will see the simple diagram of these 5 stages. So the first stage of the transaction is the active state. So the initial state, the transaction stays in this state while it is executing. Means suppose we start the transaction T1 which read the value of A, then perform A is equal to A minus 50 and whatever. So in that case, the transaction is in active state. The transaction state in this state while it is executing the instruction. Now, partially committed. After the final statement has been executed. So in this case, when this final execution is completed, write B. When this instruction is executed, then we can say partial committed. When after the final statement has been executed. Now why we call it as a partial committed? Anyone guess? Why we call it as a partial committed? We call it as a partial committed. Why? Because see here, where the instructions are executed normally, the instructions are executed in main memory, not on the disk where the database is stored. The instructions are executed in main memory. So after execution of this instruction, the result is still in the main memory. The value of A 950 and the value of B 2050 still in the main memory. So failure may occur in that case. If a system failure occur, power failure occur, the result may not possible to see. That in that case we call it as a partially committed. Why? Because the changes whatever made are still in the main memory, not actually stored on the disk, and that's why we call it as a partial committed. Failed. So after discovery that the normal execution can no longer proceed. If a failure occurs, system failure, disk failure, power failure, transaction failure, so many types of failures are there that we are going to study in the 6th unit. So if because of some failure, it discovered that the transaction can no longer proceed with its normal execution, then we say it is in a failed state. Once it is a failed, what it enters? It enters into the aborted state. So after transaction has been failed, it is rolled back. It is rolled back means what? See, if this transaction failed after write operation, after read B operation, then it is rolled back means start from the first instruction once again. So aborted means the transaction once it is failed, it is rolled back. Means the database is restored to its prior state of the transaction. Whatever the value of A before the execution of the transaction, whatever the value of B before the execution of the transaction, that is restored. Okay, means A again becomes 1000, B again becomes 2000. So here aborted means two actions are done. Any one of these, restart the transaction. If there is an internal logical errors, restart the transaction, start it from the first instruction again. Or second one, kill the transaction and rewrite it again. The second one, kill the transaction and rewrite it again. Now see, this is the 5th stage, that is committed. After successful completion. So when we say after successful completion, when the information is stored on the disk, whatever the changes made by this transaction, after the final statement has been executed, we call it as a partial committed. So after the changes made by the transaction, the value of A 950 and the value of B 2050, when it is transferred to the disk, permanent storage, secondary storage, then we can say it is a completed successfully, and that stage is committed. Now see the diagram, simple diagram here. I am going to explain this diagram to you again. So we consider our transaction, that is 1 minute. Okay, so now see here. Now see, in this case, the first instruction is the start. Okay, so here active state. First state is the active state when the transaction start its execution. So in our case, when the transaction read the first A is equal to A minus 50. Write B. I'm going to write A. Read B. Then B is equal to B plus 50. And the last write B. Okay, so during the execution of all these instructions, start from here to here, the transaction is in active state. Is it clear to everyone what is active state? Start from the first instruction to this last instruction, the transaction is in active state. Now, when the final instruction is executed, this write B is executed, then transaction is entered into the partial committed. The transaction entered into the partial committed state. Why it is partial committed? Again, I am explaining why, because till the changes made by the transactions are in main memory. What are the changes? A is equal to 950 and B is equal to 2050. So these changes are till in main memory. So that's why we call it as a partial committed. In between, if a failure occurs, before transferring it to the disk, if a failure occurs, in that case, what happens? System failure, power failure, disk failure, then it enters into the failed state. So after execution of the last instruction also it may enter into the failed state. Another, in between, during the execution of these instructions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in between anywhere if a failure occurs, means the transaction can no longer proceed with its normal execution, it enters into the failed state. Have you understood why these two arrows comes towards the failed state? The first thing is that after execution of the final instruction, the transaction enters into the partial committed state. Means the changes made by the transaction are still in the main memory. So if a failure occur any kind of, then it may enter into the failed state. And during the execution of this transaction, these 6 instructions are there. If any kind of failure occur in between, then the transaction transfer from active state to the failed state, means the transaction can no longer proceed with its normal execution. So once it is entered into the failed state in both the cases, then we say the transaction is aborted. Then we say the transaction is aborted means what? Once the transaction is aborted, it is rolled back. It is rolled back. Means whatever the changes made by the transaction, it restored to the state prior to the execution of the transaction. So prior to the execution of the transaction means A is restored to the value 1000 and B is restored to the value 2000. So have you understood what is meant by rollback? Once it is aborted, failed, no longer proceed with its normal execution, it is rolled back. Means it is restored to the values prior to the execution of the transaction. So prior to the execution of the transaction, A becomes 1000 and B becomes 2000. Is it clear? So in the aborted state or rollback, there are two options. There are two options. One is restart the transaction. One is restart the transaction. If a system failure, power failure occurs, restart the transaction. And if there is some logical error in this transaction, then in that case, kill the transaction and rewrite it again. Means if there is some error in the execution or in the instructions of the transaction, because of that it is failed again and again. So in that case, we need to kill the transaction and rewrite it again. What is the difference between partial committed and committed? What is the difference between partially committed and committed? So always remember that partially committed, when the transaction executes its final statement or final instruction, it enters into the partial committed state. But still the values which are updated by the transaction are in main memory, so it may subject to failure. So in that case, we call it as a partial committed. And once these values are transferred to the disk, whatever updated by the transaction, these are transferred to the disk, then it entered into the committed state. Or we can say transaction is successfully committed or transaction is successfully completed.